Well, screw it. I don't know what happened with Kevin, but we're live. This is Motor Racing Podcast, the Hub Preview Edition of the race weekend coming up. Don, how are you doing, my friend?
Oh man, I am so excited right now. We just got into Fort Worth and we are ready to watch some racing all weekend long.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Yeah. Better late than never. Just kidding.
Yes, sir.
How's everyone doing?
Kevin, how you doing today, bud?
I'm good. How are you?
Living that dream.
Man, I can't wait for the truck race tonight.
I think we are firing off at 7:30, if I remember correctly.
Yes, we are.
I can look it up, actually.
Got the
I think
looks like
NASCAR is
that's-
the only thing this weekend.
Yeah, I think, NASCAR's the only thing going on this weekend.
got high limit the high limit series. Casey Kane, Kyle Larson.
Okay.
That'll be Saturday night.
Right.
And it looks like they
Let's see.
Nick
So, yeah, it's,
Sanchez, he's always been.
It is 7:30 Texas time, but 8:30 p.m. Eastern time for tonight. Right. And then Xfinity is 1:30 tomorrow. And then, of course, 3:30 for the Cup Series. So what do we got going on right now? The Xfinity practice? Oh, SPG's leading that, probably. Oh, it hasn't even started yet. I'm stupid.
Yep.
I believe
Never mind.
6:30. No, 5:30 is when they practice.
Okay, so in about
It
another
must
30
be
minutes.
qualifying
Okay.
right now because Xfinity Series is on track right now.
No.
What's going on with their updates?
I'm lost.
Hold on. Wrong series. Yeah, practice just started.
Okay, so we'll be able to get more information as soon as their practice wraps up. Cup hasn't seen any track time yet. I don't even think. I wouldn't be surprised if they're just now getting off the haulers. To be honest.
Yeah, Cup practice at 10:30 in the morning.
Right. I think the garage is open at 8. Is that correct? 7:30.
8 or 9.
Okay.
Man, but the truck
But
race
why
tonight,
is there
we
a
got some
mouse?
fast-
Okay.
Go ahead, Jordan.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So as far as talking about the truck race for tonight, qualifying and practice has happened. It looks like Matt Mills, Kyle Busch, and Stuart Friesen have got some fast trucks. You got Chevrolet starting on the front row, and then a Toyota and a Chevrolet on the second row, with Chevrolet filling out row 3.
No real surprises there as far as Chevy and Toyota.
I believe the first Ford that's in the top 10 is Lane Riggs in 6th place. Is the first Ford starting out. So Ford's going to start outside the top 5 tonight. It looks like Lane Riggs, if they can get something going with that and some adjustments made, he might have something for the leaders.
Until Ford proves otherwise, I'm not putting any stock into anything the Blue Ovals are doing up until they prove it.
Right.
What you got,
I
Jordan?
know. Well, I already know who's going to win tonight, and that's the driver of the number 7 Spire Motorsports Chevrolet, Kyle Busch.
Yes, sir.
Very hard.
We qualified 4th, so
It would take a mechanical failure or getting into somebody else's accident for him to not race tonight.
That is true. I
Yes,
mean,
go ahead, Jordan.
the defending series champion just has not had it at all yet this year. I mean, Ben Rhodes is starting 19th. I mean, wow.
I mean, if you look into his championship year as far as last year, Ben Rhodes, he rattled off a win in Daytona, and then the week after, I believe, if it wasn't, and then they went through that period where they had nothing but struggle. So, I mean, Ben Rhodes hasn't fired off a win yet this season, but to reiterate what Don said, you know, he's driving for Blue Oval. I'm not going to put all my eggs in that basket until Ford starts to prove that they can run up there with Toyota and Chevrolet.
Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, we also got. So I think overall it's gonna be a good race tonight. I mean, it's CD.com cash 250. I think it's what. How many laps is it tonight?
I think they're doing 40, 40, and 87 tonight for the trucks.
Okay.
That is correct.
Let's see. Okay, let's see.
160 laps in total, or 167
Okay,
laps.
so 106. Okay. And then we got the Xfinity race tomorrow. Let's see. Who are the favorites for tomorrow's race?
It looks like Justin Allgaier,
Ooh.
with only 4 laps in, is leading practice, with AJ Allmendinger, Chandler Smith, Jesse Love, and Riley Herbst rounding out the top 5 as far as practice goes right now. Your defending Xfinity Series champion is only running in 7th, with 4 laps out on the racetrack.
Is that Cole Custer?
I mean, yes.
Okay.
Hence, again, it's a Ford, so it looks like the first Ford that we have as far as Xfinity Series goes is going to be the 98 of Riley Herbst, sitting in 5th place. So right around the same place that Lane Riggs is sitting in. I mean, he's qualified 6th. And so far, you've got not qualifying ain't happened yet, but as far as practice, you have 2 Chevrolets, if they were to go right now, 2 Chevrolets starting on the front row, Toyota Chevrolet on the second row, and a Ford and a Chevrolet rounding off the third row for 5th and 6th place.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't look like.
Looks.
Yeah, Corey Heim looks like he's going to have a fast race truck. I think we'll probably see him out front or out towards the front later in the race. And it looks like he's also going to run the Xfinity race tomorrow.
Right.
But yeah, let's see. Now tomorrow, I'm going to keep sticking with my girl Diggins. She's got to stay out of that bad traffic.
Well, she's
She has
got
a great car. It's just that traffic. True.
Well, we got to figure out why she's not,
good.
if she's not qualifying well. She puts her. That's the same thing with Austin Dillon. He was complaining about being in bad traffic. Well, you got to qualify better, bud, and you won't be caught up in all the pygmies. So, you know, control your.
Well, and it looks like so Haley Deegan, as far as practice goes right now, is running 32nd. She's 1.509 seconds behind the leader. Fastest lap so far has been a 29.902 from the Xfinity.
27th. 27th.
Okay, so yours must be updating faster than what mine is. I'm on the app.
Screw it. 25th. She's moving. She is moving.
Well, let's talk about, Cup. Who do we expect to be out front? I mean, Chevrolet's already shown dominance in the bottom. Well, I'm not going to say dominance because we haven't had qualifying yet, but out of the truck series, it looks like we have a lot of Chevrolets up front.
Yes.
And with Xfinity qualifying, granted, there's only 9 laps that have been turned, but it looks like Chevrolet's going to have a good hand in the Xfinity series as well.
I would not doubt it.
So, I mean, it's a mile and a half. Do we see Chevrolet dominate the Cup Series this week?
Yeah, like we said last week, until they give us reason not to choose them, there's no reason not to choose Chevrolet right now. Just.
And as far as not even manufacturer, as drivers go, who do we feel like is the strongest on? We haven't had a lot of mile and a half tracks yet this year. But coming from last year, who do we feel is going to be the strong ones on the 1.5 mile tracks?
You got to go with Toyota. The amount of speed they show on these tracks is just, you really can't match it in a lot of situations. It seems like Chevy gets kind of lucky in a couple instances where they're lucking into wins at the end of races. I'll bring up Texas 2023 for example. They had that late wreck on the front straightaway, and William Byron was able to sneak up through there and snag that win from Toyota. So I'm still going to put my money on those boys, and I wouldn't be surprised if Chevy stole one or took it from them. So.
Well, and I have to go with you. Some of those Chevy, not just Chevrolet, but Toyota has been dominant. Denny Hamlin is one of those names that we need to mention when it comes to 1.5 miles. Him and Chris Gabehart have got something really figured out these last 2 or 3 years. Oh, excuse me. This is year 3. So, the last 2 years that we've had this next-gen car, it seems like Denny Hamlin has fired off with this new car.
Yep.
Does he bring over being the co-owner of 2311? Do you think whatever Denny's got as far as strengths, whether it's driving style or what's in the car, does he take that over to 2311 with him, or does he save all that information for the 11 team?
I think if Denny has that power, I think he takes it to 2311. That's where his future is. I think his run with Gibbs is starting to run to its end, and he's putting all his eggs in the 2311 basket. So if I remember correctly, they asked him if he would push his teammate or if he would push one of the cars he owns to victory. And if I remember correctly, he said he would push the car he owns rather than, I believe it was Gibbs they were referring to. So just on that information alone, it would make me believe that he would save information and use it in the future with his new team.
Well, on a track like Texas, as far as Toyota, I'm sorry to say, the Toyota drivers that I see running out front, if we do, this weekend will be Denny Hamlin and Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace. Yeah. Okay. So Christopher Bell for sure. Christopher, it doesn't matter what racetrack we've been to this year. Christopher and Adam Stevens have got something going on. It seems like they've been fast and they have brought some extreme and crazy speed to the racetrack here the last couple weeks. So, I wouldn't be surprised to see Christopher Bell out there. Bubba Wallace is really good at these type of tracks.
Bubba's really good at these 1.5 miles. He's got that win there at Kansas from last year or the year before. Definitely look for that car to be up front. He's always shown a lot of grit and strength at these kinds of tracks, so it's right up his wheelhouse. And he's riding a high right now. He's driving a different mission, it seems like, this year. So we'll see how that plays out too.
I feel like Bubba's having a good season. I wouldn't say good season, great season. All these good finishes that he's had. He wouldn't be. He would probably be one of my number 1 picks for Texas this weekend. As far as fantasy goes, I've got Bubba in my garage, but I'm probably going to get him out this weekend.
Okay.
Put him out as one of my starters. It's just these kinds of tracks, you can't leave 2311 out or Toyota, period.
Correct.
The names that I feel like, as far as our underdogs go this weekend, welcome back, Jordan. Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
My bad, y'all.
No, you're good. So, as an underdog, Ricky is really good at some of these 1.5 miles. The last couple years they've brought whatever they've brought to the racetrack. Stenhouse has been fast. I expect for them to unload quick, maybe not qualify as well, but I expect Stenhouse with a top 10 finish at Texas this weekend.
So you bring up Ricky, and that's a good point too. But is Ricky going to be one of those Haley Deegan situations where is he going to get in his own way and not qualify well? And we already know that with this next-gen car, they can't pass very well, especially back 10 back. You can't really pass in these cars. So if he gets trapped in the back early, it's going to be one of those, well, we might as well watch that idea, because we don't really know Ricky as being a driver that can drive through traffic very well either.
Yeah, the wake, the dirty air with the wake that these cars put off, it's insane. I believe that's why a lot of these drivers are complaining about the short track package. as far as like Bristol or Phoenix and stuff go, because the racetrack is only so wide. When you
Right.
get out there, there's only so many places to go to get away from that wake. In Texas, especially in turn 1 and 2, there's not very many places to go. And 3 and 4, everybody is running wide open, whether you're running bottom, middle, or top. So, I mean, I agree with you on that one. Ricky, the only way that Ricky doesn't do good this weekend is if he sticks his foot in his mouth.
Right.
Got to qualify well. Not necessarily got to have practice speed, but definitely got to qualify well. Track position is everything. We have seen that with these cars. Every racetrack we go to, track position, track position, track position. So,
So what
it
do
just
you
depends.
think? What do you think fixes that? Since the drivers are having so much difficulty getting around one another at some of these tracks, because it doesn't seem like NASCAR is doing nothing, but it also doesn't seem like anything's changing. So
It's getting
what
any
can
better.
they do?
So, to be completely honest, I think it's not a splitter issue, but I think it's a diffuser issue. The way that they've got the diffuser, I know they've worked on it, especially for the short track package. But the 1.5 miles, that and the spoiler on the top. I think a new redesign. I know they're using straight flat spoilers. I think a redesign as far as reconfiguration. What I mean by that, instead of it being the same as it's been for years, change the shape, put some curvature in it, or put a duck fin off the end of it. Try to change the aerodynamics. It doesn't have to be a lot, but it needs to be enough where we can see these cars beating and banging door to door trying to pass instead of not being able to pass.
Right. And it's really interesting.
That's what I think is wrong. It's the aerodynamics.
What's really interesting about that is you bring up the dirty air, and these diffusers that they added to the next gen car were put in place to help the cars have better stability, and it just like they can be around each other very well. So it'll be really interesting to see how they move forward with those things. If they stick with the rear diffuser, I know the rear diffuser also doubles as air inlet when the cars get turned around. There's a flap that actually opens and lets air pass through the car so that it helps keep it on the ground. And so if they're able to manage keeping that with adjusting the diffuser and the spoiler, it'll be interesting to see how NASCAR tries to play it.
I mean, I completely agree with you. It's just, I don't think the diffuser is doing any good. The way that the air is coming out, instead of coming up and over, like it's normally, you guys try to, the difference between the Gen 6 force is possible, making adjustments to the splitter and, that kind of stuff. With this one, they're trying to get more air underneath the car rather than over it.
Okay.
Because of the diffuser. But I feel like all the air that comes out from underneath these cars is what's pushing on the nose of the car behind it, allowing it not to be able to get close enough to be able to try and make a pass.
So it actually creates some sort of weird bubble that's not allowing the second car to get any kind of run or any kind of movement as far as progress goes.
I believe so. Yeah, as what a driver would refer to as the beach ball effect. Getting up behind a car so close, but the air coming off the car, it just acts as a beach ball. So when you get up there, it just pushes that car in front of you further out. And I feel like that's what these cars are doing. And when they get further out, it creates that drag, that wider wake off the car. And I feel that's why these guys don't have the stability in the rear of the car like they've been complaining about all year. I believe it's just a design flaw with these cars.
So does NASCAR make a change in the middle of the season, or do they wait till the off season to do any kind of reconfigure or redesign?
I feel like NASCAR should try and make the package better, and play with it that way, as far as horsepower or spoiler height or stuff like that right now. And while we're in the middle of the season, do some testing and see what works. See if we can get 2 or 3 testing dates done. And if they see that it makes a difference, that they might be able to get out and pass. And don't do it the diffuser and all that stuff needs to be tested at 1.5 miles. So I say NASCAR needs to probably test at Charlotte and do this. But
Yeah.
Unless they can come up with something quick that they know and shows change, I wouldn't change anything until after the season.
Okay.
Because I think instead of it just taking a couple months time, I think they need to take an entire off season and the rest of the in season where we're at, and take the time to develop a different spoiler and a different diffuser.
Right. Have R&D work, because you can change all that stuff during the season, but not actually implement it into the car. Get your 3 months of off season and start implementing it into Daytona and Richmond, or not Richmond, Phoenix when they start doing the West Coast swing.
There you go. And see, I believe that's why on our super speedways like Atlanta, everybody was complaining about, grip. I don't have any grip in the corners, especially the exit. And with the drafting tracks, the super speedways, Atlanta, Daytona, we haven't been to Talladega this year, so we don't know what kind of mess that's going to be, or what kind of racing it's going to produce. But these guys have been bitching about the ability to be able to define grip and the ability to be able to drive these cars in that kind of air without any stability whatsoever. And again, like I said, to me it's an aerodynamic problem. I don't believe it's a tire issue or a toe link issue or any of that. I believe it's got everything to do with the aerodynamics, whether it's the splitter, the diffuser, the spoiler, the fin up on top. I know that has several different uses, not necessarily aerodynamic uses, but there's something aerodynamically wrong with these cars, and unless NASCAR fixes it, I think we're just going to continue to see the same thing.
So you bring up the drivers talking about grip, no exit grip, no grip here, no grip there. When do we start talking about the part that actually connects the car to the ground?
Well, I mean, first we got to figure out what this compound that Goodyear is using. We right back to Bristol. Was it a compound issue, or was it a temperature issue? The reason why that Bristol didn't take the rubber.
Okay.
Then we have the issue of grip, as in we saw them lay the resin back to Bristol. The resin they laid down. The issues that drivers had. I don't think the resin at any racetrack, the resin they're using, I don't think it's good for the tires. Whether it's the mix between the resin and the compound, or depending if they put the resin on an asphalt regard to the resin on concrete like Bristol, whether it's going to have a different reaction or not. But we have to look at that and figure that out. Texas doesn't look like they've put any PJ1 or any resin down, so it looks like they've pretty much swept the track, and they're going to hope that it takes rubber. But I'm sure the weather out there right now, I mean, where you're at, it's got to be pretty decent, right?
It's perfect. We're in the low 80s, clear skies, no humidity. It's perfect right now. It's perfect.
So, I mean, if temperature's got a thing to do with it, the same compound, we should see the track take rubber tonight and all weekend. But tonight, is the Xfinity race being run during the day or the evening tomorrow?
Day, I think it's at 1:30.
Okay, so tomorrow we'll definitely see if the track's going to take rubber, because if it's a temperature thing, we'll hear about a bunch of these trucks towards the end of the race getting tight because it's rubbered up too much, or it didn't rubber up enough, or in the lane they need to.
Right.
With the Xfinity and Cup race being during the day, there we see the temperature issue, because you're constantly going to have sun on every part of the racetrack. So does it get too hot to where it rubbers up, or does it get hot enough to where it just shreds tires?
That's a great point. What do you think the change to the
I was pissed off. So. What is it? Oh, hell no. Don't you put that shit on me, bro. That shit on me, bro.
Sean, you got left.
Minutes left.
I get it.
I was gonna ask
All right.
what low pro. Hang on, I've got bad.
What was the question, Don?
I've got really bad.
All right, who's echoing? Anyway, so Kevin, do you think that maybe Denny Hamlin will take the 11 car with him to 2311? You're muted, buddy. Hey, Kevin, you're muted. Hey, you're muted.
Okay, let's see.
Kevin is talking, but we can't hear him. Hello, Kevin. I can't hear you. Kevin, can't hear you. That's wow. Yeah. Wow. We're gonna have to end the show.